So we are here with Marie of Forgeron Cellars out of Walla Walla. And Marie, you were obviously from France,
Yes.
and you moved to America how long ago?
22 years ago.
Wow.
Back in 1991.
And you still got the French accent going on?
Very thick going on.
Yeah.
You know, some people are.
What originally motivated you to move to America?
Well, I came because I just got done with studying the winemaking, and I wanted to do an internship, and I wanted to learn to speak English.
Yeah.
And so I was going to stay for 6 months, and then I ended up staying on this time.
Cool.
Yeah.
And then why, after you studied wine and you moved to America, why did you pick Walla Walla out of all the winemaking places? Because certainly back then it wasn't near what it is today, you know?
Well,
Yeah.
I don't think Walla Walla was much when I came in 91, so I moved to the Willamette Valley. And that's when
The Willamette Valley?
Yeah,
Yeah.
so Argyle and King Estate were beginning, and Juin was starting.
Okay.
So I worked there for a bit, and then I came up to Washington because there were more opportunities. The wineries were slightly larger,
Uh-huh.
and I worked for Covivan and Hogue,
Okay.
Gordon, and then I ended up. By then I met my husband, and he was working at Woodward Canyon, and so I wanted to move to Walla Walla, which is more appealing anyway, it's more European.
Yeah.
And so I ended up hooking up with investors for Forgeron, investing some of my money, and starting my own winery.
Cool.
Yeah.
And so, obviously, for those that don't know, your husband is Gilles
Yeah, Winemaker from Long Shadows.
from Long Shadows, right?
Yeah.
And so it's a very neat dynamic from a wine geek perspective to see that here was this, two French people that you guys didn't know each other in France, right?
That's right. Yeah.
But yet your towns that you grew up in were what, 30 miles apart, something like that?
Yeah, well, his grandparents lived, not even 30, maybe 10 minutes from my parents.
Wow.
But his parents actually live down south, where my parents are up north. So
And so you guys from the similar region, but you met over here.
exactly.
So we are here in Woodinville. You're getting ready to open up a new tasting room here in Woodinville. Tell us a little bit about your personal winemaking style, and your approach to the Washington fruit that you work with.
Yeah, so the wines to me, of course, there's a feminine side to the winemaking. So they're assertive and they're complex, but I don't like the wines to be overbearing.
Uh-huh.
So I want them to be a little bit more balanced, and I work a lot on the mouthfeel, on the way the wines expand in your mouth, the feeling you have when you're done tasting the wine. I want everything to be in balance. I don't like bitterness or too much alcohol or too much tannins.
Right.
And so that's how we do the wine, and we like the wines to age. And
Yeah.
I also like to make white wines, a little bit Burgundy style, so not too much oak, but still the fruit is riper than in France as a rule. So those wines are going to be a little bit more fleshy, a little bit more assertive than what you would find in France.
Do you think that Washington State will ever get to the point where we can produce something as elegant as a white Burgundy?
Maybe in a cool year, or maybe with some older vineyards, or maybe if people want to buy those wines.
Yeah.
I'm not convinced that that my customer wants to buy Burgundy. I think they're pretty happy with a wine that's a little bit riper, and again a little bit more fleshy.
Right. Do you think that's just because of our palate over here that people prefer that, or? See,
Yeah, probably.
I often joke, and I always jokingly say that the only reason we like our Chardonnay the way we like it because we haven't tried white Burgundy yet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But the white Burgundies, they can be very austere too,
Yeah.
and very acidic. And you really have, it's like Pinot Noir, you have to give them a lot of time
Uh-huh.
to open up and to expand and to age. I don't know, there's two schools of thought. You can make those wines that are going to take a long time, and you have to be patient and have a wine cellar. Or you can make the other wines that are going to be ready sooner, and most people buy wine to drink it really soon after.
Yeah.
There's a balance. I don't know what the answer is, but I know both styles have a chance, to coexist.
So do you prefer Montrachet style or Chablis?
I'm more of Montrachet myself.
Montrachet, yeah.
I like more body.
Yeah.
I I like to taste the wine, and then you can still taste it after 1 hour. And
Yeah.
that's the Moaché, the Punini, the Chassagne, and that's what you get. That's just amazing.
Well, tell us a little bit about how your preference for Montrachet maybe influenced your style into making your Washington State Chardonnay.
Well, you know, I believe that even if I tried really hard, I probably wouldn't be able to make a Moaché, just because the acids, our wines tend to be a little bit riper here, and so again, they're going to be more tropical. But I think where my experience and my preference comes into play is I do like more acids in the wine, so I don't put them full malolactic. I try to retain freshness. I might harvest the grapes a little bit earlier, and I will use oak that's going to be from Burgundy and Coopers, to where it's more respectful of the white fruit versus the oak from the Bordeaux Coopers.
Right.
And then we only use 1/3 new oak. So this way, there's not the oak is present and it lifts the fruit, because again, the fruit is riper and needs a little bit of backbone, but it does not overpower.
One of the things that I thought was interesting is, being from France, one of the first varietals that I thought was somewhat different than what you grew up with was you came over here in Washington State and you were one of the early adopters of Zinfandel.
Yeah.
So tell me why you got so enamored with Zinfandel and what brought you into wanting to say, hey, I like this grape a lot enough to produce a single varietal of it. Like, what led you to that?
Well, I think just the fact that I never had it in France,
Okay.
So it was a new thing to me. And I had some California Zinfandel, and you know, they're just almost sweet a little bit. They're dry, but technically they taste sweet, and they're soft, and they're very
spicy.
They're very friendly, and friendly wines. They can go with a lot of foods. And so when I, back in 2001, when I started working with Aldridge, and they had the Zinfandel, and they said they had sold it to another winery, but the winery didn't get their paperwork, and the guys at Aldridge, they knew that I really wanted the Zinfandel, so they sold it to me.
Oh, okay.
And I remember I had a friend in California, and I said I got a Zinfandel, and I think it was 28 bricks or something, it was super wide. And I said, so what do? I've never done this. And he said, you just pray.
Pray it works out.
Yeah, and so I don't know if I prayed a lot, but it did work out.
Cool.
Yeah.
And so your grand opening here in Woodinville is tomorrow.
Yes.
And what was a couple of things real quickly that led you to want to open a tasting room in Woodinville, when it seems like, you know, there's a history here of quite a few Walla Walla wineries that have tried tasting rooms in here and they just haven't succeeded? What makes you think that you have a good chance of really